Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for Dragon Ball Super Volume 21, of course created and written by Akira Toriyama, and the art is done by Toyotaru, once again. Now, this is sad to me. I just reviewed every Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT and Super movie, including Evolution, out of memory on this channel for Akira Toriyama, who passed away a few months back. And I'm still not over it, to be honest with you. And it was fun going back through the movies and stuff, and I said a couple of times in those reviews, and in some of the reviews I've been doing recently for different manga and stuff, that I would say Dragon Ball Super, aside from Die Dark, might be my current favorite ongoing manga. But now we're in a weird place. This is not the final volume Akira Toriyama did, obviously. This is quite a few chapters, maybe 10, 15 chapters behind the last one he was working on. And I think Dragon Ball Super has taken a break, like, from that point onward, not from this point onward, because of Toriyama passing away. Apparently Toyotaru has said he will continue with the franchise in the notes that Akira gave him, and so on and so on. And God bless the guy. I cannot imagine the amount of terror and pressure that's got to be looming over that poor man. Toyotaru, I think you can do it. I've seen the Dragon Ball AF stuff you created back in the day, and I think it'll be just fine. But this is the first volume to come out, collected, since Akira Toriyama died, and I reviewed a majority of them previously on my other channel, Mr. Wildwood 94, where I do like mainly horror and novel reviews and stuff. But for this channel, I kind of thought, okay, I want to get the comic reviews over here. I didn't re-review those, I just figured I'd pick up on this one because they come out like every 3 or 4 months. And I gotta tell you, Volume 21 was so bittersweet to me, to be outright with you, for many a reason, not only because of Akira Toriyama passing away. This is the first one that I've read since he passed. The last one I read, I think I finished and reviewed on that other channel, like the day before he died. And it was so annoying. Well, it was a day before they announced that he had passed away, like a week after he died. Anyway, Dragon Ball Super Volume 21. For the first half of it, it's its own tale. It's a Goten and Trunks in school tale. I think they're in high school. And I really like that. I'm a fan of Goten and Trunks. I don't think I would be if I had not grown up with them in the Majin Buu saga on TV. I tend to defend Dragon Ball, mainly Dragon Ball Z, in the way that George Lucas defends Star Wars, saying it's mostly a kid's show. It has some adult things in there, it has blood sometimes, and some cursing, and some weird baby nudity sometimes too. But it's mostly a kid's property, in my opinion, despite what anime fans in America say, and so on and so on. And I think that what they do with Goten and Trunks here is exactly that. What they did with Gohan and Z with the Great Saiyaman stuff is exactly that. But this time around, Goten and Trunks are grown up a little bit more, being in high school now, they're not little boys. And that's kind of neat. I would love to see Gohan, Goten, and Trunks take over this franchise with Videl, but Videl is not really a fighter or anything anymore, she's more of a mom, so that kind of makes sense why she's not so heavily here. But anyway, these two basically have become new Saiyamen. They are Saiyamen X1 and X2, which I thought was cool. And they have the costumes and the poses and stuff. And their complete role model that they want to be like is this fake fictional superhero called Clean God that apparently they believe is real. I don't know why. I think it's just from a video game they love. But they don't have like an admiration for like Goku or Vegeta or Gohan. I mean, they do, but not like in a comic book obsession way like we fans of, you know, comic book culture and pop culture are, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, they are undercover superheroes in a very Spider-Man type of way, if you will, just like Gohan was back in the day, like I said. And that's kind of fun. I like that stuff. And if you've seen Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the movie, the most recent one from, 2022, I think? If you've seen that, a lot of this book is tying into that movie. The first half of this book with the Goten and Trunks stuff is a precursor to that, of how Dr. Hedo tried to create more androids. In this case, they look like, you know, Frankenstein. Many variations, like a football Frankenstein, and so on and so on. And this is the story of how he got into jail for the superhero movie, What I did not know until recently, before I read this volume, was that Superhero, one of my absolute least favorite Dragon Ball movies of all time, I reviewed it for the marathon, I ranked it in the marathon ranking, and it did not fare well, to let you know. It's not just the fully CGI animation, it's a lot of other factors, so just in case you want to go check out those reviews and ranking videos, that'll be cool. The second half of this book is entirely about Superhero adapted to manga. And it's not as bad, obviously, because it's not 3D animation with CGI animation. It's not, limp noodle ragdolls from GTA 4. It's not like that. It doesn't look like modern-day Dragon Ball video game cutscenes, That stuff is better here than it was in the movie, for sure. It's not really expanded upon too much. There's a couple of variations on some things for the superhero portion of this book, the latter half, and I assume the first half, if not the whole next volume, will be Dragon Ball Super Superhero, adapted still. I had heard that they adapted it for these books, just like they did with Battle of Gods back in the day. I think Resurrection F had a manga, and then it stopped for some reason. I guess it was a sales thing, I don't know. But Dragon Ball Super Volume 21, the first half with Goten and Trunks, being something I had never seen before, the rise of Dr. Hedo, finding out who he is, what he does. I liked all of that stuff. I think that the fanboy love for superheroes in that particular story is kind of cool. There's a new guy that comes to Goten and Trunks' school named Beta, and he's kind of interesting, I guess you could say. And the thing with Trunks having a crush on Mai is kind of weird, but fun here. I think they get a lot of the humor down perfectly, just like Toriyama and Toyotaru always do. The writing is on point, the art is on point, as always. And when you have action scenes, they're kind of that Dragon Ball Z filler stuff. Like, think of the Garlic Jr. arc, but not as good, That's kind of what most of this book feels like, until it gets to the superhero adaptation, which a lot of people love, I do not. To me, it's just a very bland book, because half of it I've already seen before, and like I said, it's not as boring as the superhero movie, which is way too long, by the way. But the first half with Goten and Trunks, I really like. I think it's worth your time if you haven't seen it before. But aside from that, I really don't have a love for this book. It's really, 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 really just okay. And that's it for me. The art is good, like I said. The fights can be good. If you like Goten and Trunks, this will be for you, because it's mainly about them the first half. If you're not a fan of them, well, it's going to kind of collapse for you. If you love superhero, you'll probably love most of this book, because it's so dedicated to that. If you are not a fan of superhero like me, you're probably not going to be down for it just as much. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about Dragon Ball Super Volume 21. It's one of the weakest ones, and I think the next one doesn't even come out until like September or December or something like that. I'm not thrilled about that release date there. I guess it has something to do with Toriyama's death. I don't know. I was pretty sure we got one like every 3 or 4 months, but to be fair, it is June, so we're not too far away from that. Anyway, Dragon Ball Super Volume 21. Not one of my favorites, not as good as the Maro arc, which has still not been adapted to the anime or anything like that. The Granola arc was better than this, and Superhero in total, in my opinion. It hasn't been adapted yet either. So it's all kind of a shame to me that Superhero, of all the things, gets all this love, whether it be in this book or the movie, and Maro and Granola are only admired by the fans, But anyway, Dragon Ball Super Volume 21, not a horrible book, not the worst thing I've ever read. Not one of the best ones, to be honest with you. Maybe Volume 22 will improve the story a little bit more. I'm just kind of ready for everything to scoot past that so I can get to the next part of the story arc, whatever that is, and move along. Because I'm not looking up spoilers. I'm not reading the chapters week to week or month to month or whatever. I'm not doing all of that. I'm reading them in trade paperback manga release order, because that's how I like to read books. I don't like to read them online, so that's just me. Anyway, what do you think about the book? Put your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to hear everything you have to say about Dragon Ball Super's manga, the anime adaptation, the movies, Superhero especially, and this book too. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.